Hey folks, welcome back to Rugby Ascendant. Well, we've had a little time to reflect with the game on Sunday. It's now Monday, nearly midnight here on the East Coast of the United States. But the headlines, I have to say, are not befitting of a national side coach. Massive mitigating circumstances. Gregor Townsend reflects on very harsh red against the Springboks on Planet Rugby. Townsend says Bok bomb squad less effective than most perceive. Our players responded well. News 24. Scotland boss fires shots at Boks, South Africa Rugby magazine. And Gregor Townsend bemoans referee decisions against Scotland, Scotland Rugby. Now, Gregor, you gave up 4 tries and you got none. And you blame the game on the referee. Scotland coach Gregor Townsend lashed out at officials, then dissed the Springboks, making an unsupported claim that Scotland stopped the bomb squad. Nah, Gregor, the bomb squad stopped itself. Now, Townsend believes his team effectively countered South Africa's bomb squad strategy, noting that the introduction of the 7 forwards from the bench did not significantly alter the game's outcome. Well, certainly not initially, but in the last 15 minutes, absolutely. So why did that happen? Well, it's not because Scotland countered them well. Jaden Hendricks' piss-poor ball handling played a significant role here with 5 turnovers. Scotland cheating at the breakdown, getting away with all kinds of side entry and hands in the ruck and not being called or penalized for it. And frankly, poor scrummaging from the new front row when it first went in all contributed to the poor performance of the bomb squad. It's hard to perform when you don't get the ball if your scrum half knocks it on every time you turn around. Now, there were quality players that the Boks sent on from their bench, but there was a period where we forced penalties and found gaps in the defense. Forced penalties? Gregor, it was more like stupid rugby decisions on the Boks' part. Keenan Moody allowing himself to be isolated with no support anywhere near him is one example of a dumb penalty that Townsend seems to think his team forced. Moody had no reason to get himself in that position. Vincent Colk also got himself in a stupid position to turn the ball over. That led to 6 points, those 2 plays. Now, Townsend highlighted several critical moments in the game, including a disallowed try by Ben White and a controversial red card for Scott Cummings, which he felt were pivotal in the match against the Springboks. Yes, the disallowed Ben White try was in fact a turning point in the game. And the 20-minute red card was not a turning point, I have to say. The Boks played poorly throughout the 20 minutes that they were a man up. It didn't change the outcome of the game. Now, to be fair, I'm not convinced that it was a red card that was called there. But Cummings did initiate a croc roll. That's pretty clear. Townsend believes his team was unlucky not to win this game. He reckons the TV referee should not have looked further than the last 2 phases to see if Ben White's try just before halftime should have stood. Well, that's all fine and dandy, Gregor, but we can point to plenty of times this past season where an official went back multiple phases to overturn a try based on a marginal forward pass. In this case, Hugh Jones clearly knocked the ball on. He said, I think we had the chances to win, but had to play for 20 minutes of 14 men against the world champions. A try was not awarded, and we conceded a soft one, yet we still knocked on the door 15-22. Yes, you did. It's a shame that you've now felt the need to blame the official when Christoph Ridley did a bang-up job, as did the TMO in this game. And yes, I know, I've complained about officials this season. What fan hasn't, given the uneven performance of rugby union officiating? The difference here is that Gregor Townsend is a national rugby coach. We are not. So that raises the obvious question. Will rugby union sanction Townsend, a la the nonsense they imposed upon Rassie Erasmus a couple seasons ago? Folks, don't hold your breath. Sir Bill Beaumont's rugby union was, is, and will remain a Northern Hemisphere old boys club. To be fair, I don't think any sanctions are warranted here. Gregor may complain all that he likes. From my perspective, that is his prerogative. But the bottom line is a quality Scotland side with Finn Russell and Blair Kinghorn back could not sniff the try line. That's why they lost, not because of officiating, not because the Springboks played well, because South Africa did not play well. But it was not just Gregor Townsend who moaned about officiating. Speaking on commentary duties on BBC Radio Scotland, former Scotland hooker Fraser Brown said, the officials have lost the plot. Well, I think all of us could agree sometime or other that is the case. But Scotland captain Sione Tuipulotu, who had a pretty good game, was more honest about the outcome. He said, I thought the last bit of execution really let us down, especially in the finish zone. Close to the line at least. So yeah, we've got to take responsibility for that. The game was there to be won, and we didn't execute. Now, the Daily Mail's Callum Crowell was spot on. He said, with just over 15 minutes of play, the game was on knife edge. South Africa's lead was fragile at 19-15. Scotland could smell blood, but didn't show the necessary killer instinct to catch their prey. There you go. In the end, Scotland let this one slip away, folks. This was a very poor performance by a questionable Springbok selection. Scotland had their chances and were in the game late, in spite of their inability to cross the try line with the likes of Tom Jordan and Duhan Vandemever in their ranks. And that's the reason why Scotland lost this game. Not because of officiating, not because of a red card, not because of a try overturn, although it was a turning point in the game. But there was a lot of time for Scotland to come back from that turning point. They failed to do that. Finn Russell kept in the game, and South Africa's poor performance and unforced errors kept Scotland in the game. But in the end, quality sides win. South Africa won this game, a game maybe they shouldn't have won. Scotland did win it. And that in itself speaks volumes. What say you? Cheers.